Then the color blue. The blue is a play on Bishop's slogan, which was good old Bishop Blue, but it's also, ironically, the color that I always use in my work because it's a color of protection, and I use it as a symbol of what I'm trying to protect. So in this case, it's solid blue borders on each piece, and that's to show that this history must be protected. The gold writing I use in my work all the time because it's used as both a metaphor for the value of the words. Gold is always considered something really important and valuable, but also to bring to whomever my audience is the awareness that this is a golden conversation that we're having. You know, this visual conversation is an important one. So the writing will always be in gold. And then sometimes I do the writing layered, and in that case it really is a metaphor for things are not quite what they seem. Like for instance in this piece over here, you know, there's writing on top of writing. So you have to really sort of look at it closely to see what is the message there. There's a message on top of a message. And then I guess lastly, it's the black background, you know, because these pieces are all on black backgrounds built up. And that's another typical element in my work, is that I work black and out. And that's because the base of everything I'm doing is in fact coming from a black tradition, a tradition of African origin. And that also was an irony because, of course, the play on this is black and blue, a black college, good old Bishop Blue, the blue protection line. All of those colors then become significant in terms of looking at the work. And you'll notice the palette is very limited as far as the coloring goes on all of these pieces. And that was very intentional, that I wanted them to appear as ghost images because they, you know, they're not current. But at the same time, there are elements of color to sort of bring you back into the piece, mostly blue, the color blue, you'll see that throughout. And then of course the chameleon and the tortoise and the spider are colorful.
I got some good music training there in the music department.
I was in the marching band. We accidentally discovered that there were 3 women who played trumpet, that there were 2 to 3 women who played trombone, and that there were 3 to 4 women who played the larger brass instruments. And we had a xylophone player, and most of us women could play the piano. So we went to Mr. Van Bolden, our band director, and said, we have enough women to have a women's lab band. He said, fabulous. Let's figure out a time when you all can meet and you can have an all-women's lab band.
Main thing that I did was to have jazz on the campus. And then when sometimes there were other school functions and we would play for those as well. You know, we might play in the cafeteria, or there may be some kind of party or something, and we would play.
And we had an all-women's lab band, and they would book us to play all over campus, all over Dallas, at special events for alumni. Would be this all-women's lab band, and then 4 or 5 of us would get up and do solos and improvise.
And my initial trio, which started in 1961, did a lot of gigs in the community. We played private parties for some of the more prominent black citizens of Dallas. Prior to coming to Bishop, I had attended 5 other colleges. And so when I came to Bishop, it was under the condition that if I wanted to get a degree, this was going to be my last chance. That's the ultimatum my parents gave me. If you want us to help you, you've been to all these other schools, and you know, Bishop College has just moved to Dallas. If you want us to help you, this is your last opportunity. And so I didn't realize it, but by choosing English Lit as a major, that was the perfect training for for what I would become later, which is a songwriter. I write songs, and the music background and the literature background was perfect. And I had some great English teachers.
I think the opportunity as well, and Rhonda kind of spoke to this, to take on leadership roles.
Yes.
You know, because that's all an important part of it as well. And those opportunities are still not available to us in a lot of the majority institutions.
Right.
You know, so you take that with you. This is where I learned how to be a leader and how to take on roles later in my life that put me in that position and gave me the opportunity to utilize some skills that I had learned at Bishop College.
Now, immediately we discovered that Bishop was in such a huge boom that most of the boys who arrived for campus had to be bused, and Bishop rented motels that were over on Simpson Stewart Road. And they were going to have to be picked up and delivered to school every day because the dormitories weren't ready. They were in a huge building campaign. And for the girls, where we had a 2-room situation, it was really not going to accommodate 4, because you were going to have 2 beds and you were going to have cots on the walls that folded down.
You said something about when you were talking about the glory years, Bishop. Well, I came in '66, and there are a lot of people. He was talking about the enrollment. I don't know, but when I was those years, and I sure did, that was during that
when I
peak
got
time.
here, it was like about 2000.
We were staying in the suites. They had to bring bunks into the suites. Some of the guys were staying in the basement area that was not even supposed. They were staying out on 75, and the motels became.
I think things peaked probably in the mid-60s, because around the time I transferred, there were close to 2,000 students here.
Yeah, it was amazing. And those,
Well, they said from what I read in the newspaper, there was this boom all of a sudden. See that students started coming from all over the country.
Okay. I think the legacy of Bishop in Dallas, as far as the arts is concerned, is broader than the arts. I think it's cultural, not artistic, but cultural. And I think it is cultural because so many people came from Bishop who were not just talented artistically, but they were people who were invested culturally in black people moving forward